Hey WordNerds, so I am filming from my extremely messy workstation today. I wanted to do a little bit of a writing/life update because I feel like it's been a long time. So right now I am currently working on what I am calling the Bisexual Death Druid book. It is currently 62,000 words into a second draft. And when I say second draft, I don't mean I went back and started working on the draft that I had originally done. I mean, I scrapped the first draft completely and began all over again, which was exhausting, but I had sort of discovered at one point while I was writing it that I wasn't happy with the POV. I wasn't happy with who was telling the story, and I needed to have it be a different character. So I ended up rewriting the entire thing, scrapping about 70,000 words, and I am currently on the second draft and now at 62,000 words. And I am hoping that here on out it goes a little bit more smoothly, because as far as like the creative process goes, this one has been very rough. It's been very bumpy. I am somebody who has to immerse myself in one project at a time, which is something I discovered through a lot of trial and error through the years. I'm not someone who can work on multiple projects at the same time. So if I'm going to do something else, I need to re-immerse myself into a new one and just set the old one aside for now. And this is what I've had to do several times with the Druid book, because I was asked to pitch to the publisher that bought Witches of Ash and Ruin, which is wonderful, but at the same time it did pull me out to create a new world and the first 50 pages of that world. And so I was pulled out of the Druid story and into another one, and that happened twice because I had to pitch another one after the first one since the first one wasn't accepted. And now the Druid book has had two distractions and I've had to try to re-immerse myself twice in it. And the second time I ran into like a solid wall. It felt like I just couldn't get back into the story. It had been too much time and I just wasn't capable of getting back into it. It just felt like it wasn't right. Not necessarily that the story wasn't right, but I wasn't in the right mindset to continue on with it. And so I really struggled with that for a while. And in order to re-immerse myself, I actually ended up doing a trick that I sometimes have used in the past, which is basically going through the whole thing and writing out scene cards. So these are all scene cards for the Druid book. What I did was I was already about 50% of the way through, and I went through that and I wrote down every scene that I had already written. Each had an individual flashcard, and then I knew where I was going next because I always plot everything out. But by then my brain had become so like detached from that like plot that I had been planning to do that didn't feel right, and I actually ended up being correct. I had to go and replot a lot of stuff because some things had changed while I was drafting, because I'm always somebody that makes sure I am not 100% tethered to the plot. I know it's there. It's helpful to be like a guiding force essentially, but I don't make myself stick to it religiously. So a lot of things had changed, and so when I tried to like throw myself back into the story, it was kind of a matter of figuring out what exactly had changed. So this is what the flashcards helped me with. I sat down, I read through the whole story again, I wrote out all of the scenes that I had already done and all of the scenes I wanted to write. And then I just sat down with the next note card with the next scene on it. And thank God it actually worked to get me back into the story. So that's where I'm at right now. I think the story will be about 75,000 by the time I'm finished, I'm estimating, because not only do I want to have the point of view of the character and her love interest and everything, all the scary, crazy stuff that's going on with that, I also want to have a few points of views of the bad guy. So it'll just be 2 points of views. So from that, I'll probably end up with about 75 to 80,000 words. So a couple weeks left of writing probably. I am waiting on pins and needles right now to see if I'm going to get jerked out of the world again, because the publisher that wanted a few pitches are currently reading the like, I don't know, 2-line pitches I sent them, and they may come back and tell me, okay, great, write 50 pages of this one. We want to see this one, which will be amazing, and I will be so excited for the opportunity. But again, it will be the third time I'm kind of like pulled out of this world and told to invent a whole nother world. And for me, it's like a little bit like getting creative whiplash. My brain is like, what's happening? Where am I? And I have to try to slowly ease myself into, well, not slowly, that's I think the problem. I have to try to force myself faster than I would like into a new world, and kind of make things unfold rather than have them unfold organically as I'm like thinking about the world, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe the creative process because it's so different for everyone, and it constantly changes for me as well. But this is something I've discovered with this is and this is good for in the future, that if I can prevent myself from being pulled out of a story, I'm going to protect that writing time at all costs, to be like, no, this is what I'm drafting right now. I don't stray from that unless I absolutely have to. So we will see. I'm hoping to get to 75,000 before the publisher comes back and asks for anything else, because it's very slow right now. Publishing is usually slow, but it's like insanely slow right now just because of everything going on with COVID. Everything is 3 or 4 times as slow as it usually is. So I might actually get to 75 or 70,000 words before I get an email back from them. So we will see. Either way, once this is done, I think I will give it a long break. There is going to be a lot of edits on this particular story because it has been so choppy. The creative process has been all over the place. I am not usually someone who writes a ton of notes in the margins or a ton of notes in a work in progress, but I have in this one. I have highlighted notes all through this, going like, oh, you forgot this here, and like, go back and put in this character, and oops, you forgot this thing that's supposed to happen in the plot. So I have so much work ahead of me, and I know that. So I think I'm going to let it rest. I usually only let my manuscripts sit for like a few weeks tops because I'm excited to get back into it right away. I'm excited to edit again, but in this case, I think I'm going to let it kind of I'm going to let myself decompress a little bit more than I usually would before hopping back into it, because it's just going to be such a huge amount of work. I do, going forward on this channel, want to do more documentation of my works in progress and actually take you guys through the journey essentially with me. And so when I'm drafting this Druid book, when I am revising the second draft of the Druid book, I would love to actually take you guys with me as I'm revising and show you my revisions process, even though, fair warning, this one will be nutty because it's so extremely messy right now. But yeah, if this is something you guys would be interested in, you think you would like to come along with me while I'm editing this, let me know, and I will try to take some like as I go process videos. I think that would be kind of fun. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you would be interested in. Also, how is your guys' writing going? What's your process look like right now? How has it changed because of quarantine and all of this craziness in the world right now? Basically, how's the writing going, guys? Even if it's not going, let me know in the comments below. It's great to kind of chat with each other, encourage each other, let each other know about problems we've got going on with the creative process, that kind of thing. Also, don't forget 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, the WordNerds have our live chats on Sundays, and we would love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.